you're normally joined as well by our sisters and brothers on Sugar City FM St. Kitts. My dear brother Val T, trust you are in a state of good health, my dear brother. And for those of you who are in Africa, I know some of you are in Europe, some of you are in Asia, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning, or I can't say good afternoon, because one of such greetings is applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves, perhaps on a short vacation, maybe, just maybe on a business trip. Still, no, perhaps I can say you're still under lockdown, and I don't say that any facetious manner, my Street Dog family, but the borders are closed all over. But wherever you are, I'm sure that and trust that you are in a state of good health and staying safe. Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly, my Street Dog family, to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And in the event you have joined me for the first time, we do normally have first-time listeners, and I always like to apprise you, I always inform you rather, that this is a participated program, and by that I mean we entertain your calls, we include your calls, we include your emails, and of course there are times we do access your messages from other media as well. But in the event you'll join us for the first time and you want to call in, you can access the program via 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. That's the number again, 718-577-2916 by Street Dog family. And as I said, you can access the program as well by your email, by our email platform. And for those of you who I like to say wish to be covered by the cloak of anonymity, we give you access via our email platform, and that is straighttalk@gmail.com. That's, I should take that back, it's ZIZ straighttalk@gmail.com. That's SZIZSTRAIGHTTALK@gmail.com for those of you who wish to, as I said, be hidden by the cloak of anonymity. And my Straight Talk family, tonight we want to start with the sad news that broke on Saturday, 4th July. And just for those family in the diaspora, we wish you happy 4th of July holiday, your Independence Day. And we know today is a holiday, so you may just be locked in, back of your yard, having a barbecue. Just the weather is good. But the news broke on Saturday. On Saturday, the 4th of July, the news broke about a new or additional case of the coronavirus, which are actually took us to 16 confirmed cases, I should add, and my street dog family, 15 of such cases have already been, I should say, fully recovered. And my street dog family, this has gone opposite to the trend of what was the growing perception by many that St. Kitts Nevis is COVID-free, or COVID-19 free, I should say, in spite of the repeated warnings from our health officials. And we wish that patient, whoever he or she may be, we wish that patient a speedy recovery, my street dog family, and trust that there will be no more. And that has derived, I should say, from the fact that we've opened our borders. And in opening our borders, that's the danger, I should say, if I can use that word, it may be a little strong, or the danger, yes, of having the contraction or having new cases of this dreaded disease. And we know that many are canvassing for the opening of our borders. And this is something we have to be guided, and we have to be very cautious as to these cases or any additional cases, my street dog family. But here's what Akila Nisbet, or the Honorable Akila Nisbet, reported on Saturday, my street dog family.
Today, Saturday, July 4th, 2020, St. Kitts and Nevis recorded one additional case of COVID-19. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 16. The patient is a returning national who landed on June 19th, 2020 from Washington, D.C., USA. The patient has been in quarantine since arrival.
Patient is or has been in quarantine since arrival. Again, we wish that patient, whoever he or she may be, a speedy recovery from this dreaded disease. And my street dog family, last week Tuesday, the news also broke that His Excellency, the Governor General, Sir Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CBOQC, JP, LLD, had issued a proclamation. And this is a proclamation dated July 1, 2020, summoning the opening of the National Assembly on Wednesday, July 8, to be held at 10 a.m. at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort in Frigate Bay. This proclamation is in keeping with Part 3, Section 46, Subsection 1 of the St. Kitts Nevis Constitution, which reads, and I quote, each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within St. Christopher and Nevis, and shall begin at such time, not being later than 180 days from the end of the preceding session, if Parliament has been prorogued, or 90 days from the holding of a general election of representatives, if Parliament has been dissolved as the Governor General shall appoint by proclamation. And recall as well, my straight dog family, that general elections were held on Friday 5th June 2020. But having read the proclamation, my straight dog family, I could not help but to reflect. I could not help but to reflect upon one fact. That is, for the first time ever since adult suffrage in 1952, and after some 14 or 15 general elections, 3 political parties, PAM, CCM and PLP, came together on one political platform on Sunday the 26th of September 2013. Do you remember the thousands of petitions and divisions who journeyed to Greenlands Park to witness the historic launch of the Team Unity movement? Some came by cars, some by buses, some by boats or ferries from Nevis. Some walked and some used whatever means of transportation that was available to get them to the park that unforgettable night. There was a representation of all ages, from all walks of life and different political beliefs, who merged in their thousands, and when the curtains came down on that glorious evening, everyone who attended that historic meeting knew that St. Kitts and Nevis would never be the same again after elections. Hope sprung alive in the face of a divided St. Kitts Nevis under what some called a budding dictator, Denzel Llewellyn Douglas. The message of a brighter tomorrow, promised then by members of that movement, resonated well with the majority of petitions and revisions who, on February 16, 2015, said loudly and clearly that it was better together. When they voted for change and ushered in a new day for St. Kitts and Nevis, we cannot forget the prayer of the people and men ordained by God, and that prayer finally got answered by Straight Dog family.
While folks were running all over the place, I was praying and asking God to deliver this nation and bring it back to a place of peace. You're not a minister, I am. I have seen mothers in this country cried over the loss of their sons across the length and breadth of this country. They were murdered foolishly. And it was because of a political system that we had. And to my mind, a political system that did not mind God. Amen? And I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. God did not deliver for a long time. But in 2015, he said, son, I'm going to answer your prayer. I'm going to stop those planes in New York. And I'm going to deliver this country that you have prayed for so many years.
That's the power of prayer, my Straight Dog family. And I recall as well that bright and sunny morning on Wednesday, December 17, 2014, when history was made at the Red Cross building on Chapel Street in downtown Charlestown, Nevis, when the leaders of the People's Action Movement, PAM, the People's Labour Party, PLP, and the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, came together and signed an agreement termed the Charlestown Accord. This was the culmination of talks dating back, believe it or not, to April of 2013. Now, the Charlestown Accord, as presented by the members of the Tri-Party Opposition Alliance, Team Unity, was the formalizing of a number of agreements and commitments that Team Unity promised to the people of Nevis once the candidates of the tri-party movement, as well the people of St. Kitts, I should say, once this, the members of the tri-party movement, or the candidates of the tri-party movement, were successful in what was an upcoming general elections to form the next federal government. It was, for all practical purposes, a formal declaration of the intent of three political parties. And this was made quite clear and enunciated back then by the leader of the CCM and Premier then, Vance Winkworth Amory, who told us this.
Today we are here to make a formal declaration of the intent of the three parties: People's Action Movement, People's Labour Party, and the Concerned Citizens Movement, to seek, with the support of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, to institute a government of unity of the members of these three parties: People's Action Movement, People's Labour Party, and the CCM, when the people are called upon to determine who they want to lead them and to give governance in this country.
That was a formal declaration of intent, the intent of the three parties. A quick glance at the Team Unity Manifesto will reveal that the way forward in terms of the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has been clearly outlined, and commitment was given to ensure that the said relationship was strengthened through greater cooperation and the sharing of resources amongst other commitments. Everyone would agree that much progress has been made and there has been a tangible difference, my Straight Talk family.
Charleston Accord sought to ensure that the talents that were available in Nevis were unleashed for public, for development, national development as well. We have made good progress, for example, in the areas of foreign affairs, the fact that Nevisians are now participating in diplomacy, a role that they had been hitherto denied. Nevisians, since 2015, and for the first time in the history of the country, are ambassadors and working in the diplomatic corps at home and abroad. So that has been one thing that we have seen in terms of tangible difference. Nevisians represented now on all national boards. That is also a tangible difference.
So there have been much progress. We can also add that for the first time, a Nevisian was named our Minister of Foreign Affairs. So Nevis no longer is an afterthought, but now it is an important member of the Team Unity family, and it has benefited very early in the relationship to the tune of over $100 million in financial support from the Team Unity, or the federal
Unity
government.
took office in 2015. We got $6 million for PA Nevis, $2.5 million for the upgrade of sporting facilities. The geothermal project, $7.7 million. Mondo track, $10 million. Airport runway, $2 million. Control tower, $1.5 million. Alexandra Hospital, $9 million. Equipment for the Long Point Port, $1 million. Purchase of a generator up here by Nevlec, $13.5 million. Our treasury, you remember it was burnt down? We're going to rebuild it, $6.5 million. Water project, $2.5 million.
And yes, Nevis has benefited financially to the tune of over $300 million from the federal government from this relationship. But as we go forward, we must all agree that we have made progress along the way. The economic overhaul of the country is on the way, and COVID-19 has stressed the importance of sustainable economic rebalancing by learning to live within our means. So as to ensure that these outcomes benefit our people, Team Unity introduced a $500 poverty alleviation program, which is a support grant for over 3,000, I should say, households in St. Kitts and Nevis. And once they are earning $3,000 and or less per month. Team Unity reduce the cost of living by removing VAT on food, medicine and funeral expenses. I am always reminded of the comments of my friend who said whenever he goes to Value Mart or Best Buy or Rams with $100, he can now buy $17 worth of meat or relish, as we say in colloquial terms. Team Unity is just about to address the long and vexing issues associated with the general auxiliary employers, once the non-establishment workers and the step workers as well. Team Unity has arrested the social decline in our country through the Alternative Lifestyle Program, which moved homicides from a staggering 35 to just about 6, I believe, in the latest statistic. I stand to be corrected here. So we have done in the first term, and the people of this country said, and said it in no uncertain terms, that one good term deserved another. In the second term, and with the increased majority of Parliament, then there can be no excuse for constitutional reform. There must also be electoral reform to include a complete voter enumeration process, as promised in 2018 by the then Minister responsible for elections, Attorney General Byron.
And one of the first actions that this government will take to continue and ensure that we register this, we have the proper registration, is that we'll go from door to door, from house to house, and we will register you where you live.
And that has to be done come this second term. We must review, I believe, and reform the regime in place for debtors' jail, introduce what someone called the Cecil Rock Bill, as some people may call it. Term limits as well. Term limits must be enshrined in our Constitution. And our Constitution has entrenched provisions, as some are addressed through referendum or referenda, and some can be addressed via a two-thirds majority vote of elected representatives. But my straight-up family, term limits must be enshrined in our Constitution, and some may go further in terms of a set date for elections, but that's for the people, because we are a people's government and a consultative government. But our current leaders, nonetheless, have made their intentions quite clear for those who will wish to listen. We know of the Prime Minister Harris's view, and we know what was agreed in terms of the transition of leadership in Team Unity, and Harris reiterated this just yesterday, my straight dog family.
May God continue to bless this country that I love with all my heart. And I do believe for such a time like this one, God has favored me to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as the third Prime Minister. And I promise I will do all that I can to serve you to the best of my God-given abilities for such a time like this. And I have said that I am committed to 2 terms in the office of the Prime Minister. 2 terms. And I will be very ready to support the Honorable Sir Richards, the leader of the People's Action Movement, when that time has come, and to bring all of my experience, all of my knowledge, to give him the strongest support so that he can continue to deliver the stronger and safer future. May God bless him. May God bless the people of Sandy Point. May God bless all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. To God be the glory, I thank.
Yes, to God be the glory. And believe me, I've looked at Sean up close. and he has already whetted his appetite to take that mantle of leadership. Sean himself intimated that he is equally prepared to accept the mantle of prime ministership. In fact, the Honorable Sean Kenneth Richards stated his ultimate political let me repeat that, beg your pardon. In fact, the Honorable Sean Kenneth Richards stated his ultimate political goal for the world to hear. Just yesterday as well, we stay current.
I have one more political goal to deliver on. One more political goal to deliver on. And that is to be not the next Prime Minister, but the first Prime Minister that Sandy Point has produced.
First Prime Minister to come from Sandy Point. We had one from Basildale. The first one, Dr. Kennedy, or Sir Kennedy Alphonse Simmons, our only living national hero. Our second Prime Minister came from St. Paul's. Our third Prime Minister emanated from Tabernacle. So are you saying, is it normal in terms of transgression that the next Prime Minister will come from the town of Sandy Point? But another imperative has to be the continuing improvement in the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. And this brings me to what some people may consider a contentious issue. The issue of federalism. In the context of St. Kitts and Nevis, federalism is a political system through which two governments, to wit the Nevis Island administration and the federal government, have shared authority over a geographical area of some 106 square miles. Federalism involves an exercise of give and take. In our case, we must examine what Nevis, not its politicians, but what the Nevis Island administration can do for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Similarly, it is what the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, not its politicians, but what the federal government can do for the Nevis Island administration. For this political system to work properly, I am of the fervent view that there must be functional arrangements for revenue sharing between both islands. In our federation, the self-governing status of the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as the division of power between the NIA and the federal government, is constitutionally entrenched and cannot be altered by a unilateral decision of either party. The manner in which the provisions of the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis can be altered is clearly specified within Section 38 of the Constitution, and that is the supreme law of the land. And my Straight Talk family, I must make the point as well that irrespective of the Charlestown Accord, and notwithstanding the content of our manifesto, truth be told, the principles of financial flows between St. Kitts and Nevis can only be dictated by the 1983 Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. And this is enunciated, or outlined, I should say, in Chapter 10, Section 1110, or Section 110 of the Constitution. And yes, Premier Brantley spoke to the full rigor of the Charlestown Accord and its implementation, also the lopsided sharing of resources. Brantley referred to what he called a percentage share, my Straight Talk family. And this is very interesting as well, my Straight Talk family.
We have seen Nevis and Nevisians getting a better share of the national resources that flow from the Citizenship by Investment program. I, however, have been on record saying, and I continue to say, that the full rigor of the Charlestown Accord has not yet been implemented. And that is something that I have already telescoped to the Prime Minister has to be done, and done early in this term, that we have to give full rigor to the terms of the Charleston Accord, particularly as they relate to the sharing of resources from the Citizenship by Investment Program. Those resources continue to be lopsided in terms of the share that goes to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts compared to what comes to the island of Nevis. And so while Nevis is getting more than it has ever received in the history of the country, we know that we are not getting what was agreed in terms of the percentage shares. And that has now to be a matter of urgent discussion and resolution between the NIA and the federal government.
And my Sri Lanka family, looking, however, at the Charleston Accord signed by then Premier Vance Amory, now Deputy Premier, or now Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, and now Prime Minister Timothy Harris, it frequently refers to the term, and I quote, pro rata population basis. If I can explain, now pro rata has its roots in Latin. It is in fact a Latin term used to describe a proportionate allocation. Basically, it translates to proportionate or in proportion. And my interpretation of the foregoing suggests to me that there is a process to determine that, or rather there's a process to determine that whatever is being allocated will be distributed in equal portions. If something is given out to people on a pro rata basis, it means assigning an amount to one person according to their share of the whole. And Prime Minister Harris was quite eloquent as per usual, and even more so. He was equally patriotic and, like a statesman, provided us with the status of the Charleston Accord. And this is the update that Prime Minister Harris gave us on Friday.
Of the status of the Charleston Accord, which has been raised. Again, I just want to make the point that we are by nature a consultative government. A consultative government. So there will always be room for ongoing conversation. And I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the details with which Mr. Richards is perhaps more familiar. Suffice it to say, on all matters, we are part of a cabinet, and it will not be appropriate for me or any member of the cabinet to prejudge a determination of sensitive matters which must be handled in the context of the cabinet structure that we have. And we have committed to that. We have had this discussion on several occasions. So there is no need, in my view, for constantly going through that, because we have the work to do in making determinations. In preparation for the budget last year, for example, we committed to a 50% increase in the transfers that we will make from the federal budgetary resources to the Nevis Island administration. And that has been happening. And more has been happening. But we don't need at this point to make a public discussion of a matter which we are committed to. I think in our manifesto we would outline clearly that we have accepted a way forward that will bring professionals to assist in consideration of how the financial flows are going to go. And then we will take it from there. So we have a framework. We have expressed that framework. We have had discussion on this matter. And therefore we are working on it.
It's a work in progress, my Straight Dog family. An ongoing process. The Charleston Accord, in my view, it is working well. It derived, I should say, the Charleston Accord, because of a particular type of treatment dished out to Nevis by the Douglas Labour Party. Even though Douglas had in division Patrice Nisbet in his parliament, even though the Douglas Labour Party had a coalition with the Nevis Reformation Party, lest we forget, my Straight Dog family, that under the Douglas Labour Party or the Douglas Labour NRP administration, the Nevis administration checked was bounced. Lest we forget. We can't forget, my Straight Talk family, the background of this, or the background to this Charlestown Accord. As I said, the Charlestown Accord is working well. And I submit that all that is needed amongst our people and our leaders is trust, underline that, trust, continuing unity, and most of all, I say most of all, loyalty. Those are the three words I'll use tonight. All that is needed is trust, continuing unity, and most of all, loyalty. The Charlestown Accord is working well. My list is not exhaustive, though, my Straight Talk family. So I will open the lines and hear from you on the important issues and those you feel that ought to be addressed in the second term of your Team Unity government. But while I open the lines, I always like to implore you, or rather before I open the lines, which I'll do in a couple of seconds, I must implore you to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us make sure the things you say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And please, my Straight Talk family, in all that you say and or do, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. At 8:45, right at the top of the hour, 8:45 on the clock, I should say, I go to the lines and say, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night to the Honorable Ian Patches. Good night.
Good night, my brother, Mr. Politics.
Patches, I don't know where all them heated conversation may coming from, you know. Because I believe that this unity government, especially when we put the 2015, and we signed the Charlestown Accord, to put me in a better position, let's call it, and we get a fair share. You understand? I don't know where all this is away from, Patches, because I believe that the Honorable Prime Minister, he's know what he's doing. He ain't a fool. You understand? And you know, this thing coming up, especially on the social media and coming up on the news media with the journalists, and so. I believe they're trying to drive a wedge between the unity government. The unity government then farm the people and they went and decided they want to support the country as the Prime Minister and the government, they want unity. But we suppose the press of this country to move on, in spite of the coronavirus that's going on in this country. Bringing all kind of negative things on the radio, saying all kind of things on social media. That's what we don't know. We don't take it. We're in a hurricane season, and we don't know what's going on yet. And anybody who can this unity side, and then set things ain't going to fear, and they want to separate and do whatever they feel like. I tell you what I know. The middle class, and great things was on his graph. You understand? Because I believe the people of Nevis are happy with what's going on under this administration right now. You understand? Because I do not believe the federal government can do no more than what they could do, especially under this COVID-19 situation we're into. And that is, we got to go along with it. You know? No, we don't win this election so successfully, go out there and win a campaign and win the election, and particularly people to come in. We are to the negative things. But anybody from the unity has said, and that any people put the things in head to try to distract this government from move on. Tell them no. That is I want to tell them no. Because this is what the people vote for. No. They vote for in Nevis and in Sink. They vote for unity government to run this country.
Okay.
And the leadership of Dr. Timothy Patches.
Right, my brother.
That is a wonderful man. God bless, man. I get back.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night as well. And my Straight Talk family, do you believe that the people of Nevis will want to go back to what obtained under the Douglas administration. What do you think? Caller, hello, caller. So.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
My name is Austin Coker. And 2 weeks ago, Patches, I listened to this guy, Ken Richards, for Win FM. And a man named Steve Manners. And in my humble view, Patches, Ken Richards seems as though he has something against the unity government. And even just 4 days ago, when he got at the Prime Minister with the same thing with the minister card, he is trying his very best with Steve Manners to destabilize St. Kitts and Nevis. And me, I think we're going to stand the ear. Ken Richards is at a petition, and he ain't going to destabilize St. Kitts and Nevis and then run go back where he come from. It's not going to happen. Before so he go back and left area who fight our own whatever it is. But can Richard have a drive? How come up until now he hasn't asked the farmer Prime Minister about the case and the money in Gatchit? Can Richard have a dirty, nasty habit? He is not a petition. Can you own a petition?
Yeah, but let's not get insular. To make a point.
He's not a petition.
Yeah, but
he's not to come here.
Okay.
Remark and Tim. When you have the stream very young, let him walk out that. Let him keep out.
Okay, got
you. Stay out. He needs to stay out, Patches.
Okay.
We never suspect to you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, my brother. Yes, we want to be assertive, we want to be forceful, but let's avoid the insularity, though. Caller, you're live.
I totally agree with that caller. That particular guy from that media house, he is always trying to bring up some sort of rift between St. Kitts and Nevis. He's always doing it. It's time to get him back to Dominica. He's only causing all kind of problems between the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It come like you're working for Douglas. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, my Street Dog family. Straight to the point. Caller, you're live.
Yes.
So.
Good evening, Dr. Ian Patrick Liburd.
Good evening, my dear brother. Caller.
I'm good, man. I'm good, and the volcano is doing good, too.
Volcano doing well?
Yeah, because it's killing the corona that passes over it.
True?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now, let me get in on this here. That is, I have been observing certain things. That's why last week I said that in the jukebox, they have some records in there which is 45 RPM, and they play on both sides. But a CD, it plays on one side. And when I spoke about journalists being partial, someone picked me up and said, why are we going after journalists? But that is small potato after meal. All of a sudden, like I said before, when 2015, when Pam had the convention this Sunday, and you said something in there, we don't need no rescue. That is what you said.
No operation to rescue us.
Right, that is what you said. Patches, you did not make any insight of any violence. You ain't swearing a bad word. The next day, Ken Richards, who call himself a journalist on Win FM, round Bastille, interviewing people on the street, asking them what they think about what Patches said of Pam yesterday. When I don't think that they need any interview, because you did nothing wrong. Before 2015 election, when Dr. Douglas went on the platform and he said, get on all your boots. If I are coward, now come with me. You want a coward, come with me. Because I'm going to Sandy Point tomorrow to capture the territory. All man dead, wounded, not a man standing. And Ken Richards was supposed to go and interview people and ask them what they think about what a leader of a country said. He ain't do it. He ain't do it. And ever since I've been banging him on it, he's too one-sided. And he is working for Douglas and the Labour Party with what he's doing. Now, if something, the Bible says, if a member in the church has a problem, let the pastor call the member and they both dialogue one-on-one. And if the member continue, then the pastor call a third to dialogue. And if you continue, then you let it out to the congregation. But Ken we should go in and take out this scab off a sore that has been healed, but this scab only there. Every week, look, Austin Coker says he come in bringing up this thing about what Mark went to say about Nevis a card and Nevis ain't getting that. And he even added in a friend of mine's name in it, and she put him in the place. So that is what he's trying to do, to see what wedge and sting and necklace he could put between Nevis Island administration, Leo, and over the federal government. But he never gonna get work. I won't go no patches. Let he go back down Dominico, go ask he leader down there why he give Dr. Douglas a passport, and in Dr. Douglas is a member of the parliament up here. I'll come back for me other 2 minutes. Thank you so long.
Thank you very much, my straight dog family. I had reason to speak about media corruption some time ago, but that's not what we're discussing tonight, though, right? What we are discussing, and I really want to view, the Charlestown Accord is working well. I don't think anyone can dispute that. And all that is needed, I submit, all that is needed amongst our people and our leaders in particular is trust. We need trust amongst our leaders and our people. We need unity, and most of all, we need loyalty. Because nobody from Nevis, I submit, will want to go back to what obtained under the Denzel Douglas regime. Caller, you alive.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah, Gambian Queen and Singer, in the spirit of Queen Nanny of Jamaica. Everybody knows she is. A blessed evening, my beloved African brother. How are you and your family of the Federation?
We are all peaceful. The Federation is peaceful. Looking forward to move the progress towards a stronger, safer future for the Federation. How is New York and you and your family?
Good, brother. Good, man. They're going to phase 3 here in the city, you know. Things are looking up, but, you know, some of the people are laying the guard. We don't want to see what happened in 40 states now, but we don't want to see that. But so far, New York is good, man. And the family is great, beloved. Family is great, man. Great. Talk to the youngest one, you know, the youngest grand. Yesterday, beloved brother. So, beloved, let me just take a few seconds and that Aaron boy, Ken, who is masquerading as a journalist, he's just an Aaron boy for that boy from St. Paul's and other people. And let me tell you, Ken, you cannot drive no wedge. Our wedges between my beloved brothers, Brother Mark Brantley and Brother Harris. That will never happen, and you are one entity, and you will remain that. I don't have time to waste on you, because you're nothing but an Aaron boy. But apart from, let me get to the thing at hand now. But apart from what I want to see moving forward, beloved brother, is that electoral reforms, beloved brother, it must be done expeditiously, and constitutional reform. And like you rightly outlined, some of the electoral reforms and constitutional reforms only take a 2/3 of the elected members of the National Assembly. I mean, other states, you know, referendum. So that can be done by 2/3. We get it right there. And soon we're going to be 10-1, my beloved brother. So, brother, that's what I want to see. And to my teacher Byron, you got to put down your foot, man. Acceleration. I don't want it to be like in the last term. I want things to be done. But the first thing I will look for me, I will look the first 2 things. It will be in the term for the Prime Minister, 2 terms, and a set date for election. And then we could really be others. And I want this to St. Kitts and Nevis become a republic with an executive president and a Congress, a law house, House of Representatives, and a Senate, not like United States, beloved brother, from our own original way. But we can't copy nobody. We got to do what's best for us, beloved brother. And in closing, I want to see agriculture, man. You got to put the 2 feet, I must say, and that gas and that pedal, beloved brother, because agriculture must, let me repeat, must become a pivotal part in more than in the 70s, beloved brother. We need agriculture for food security, self-sufficiency, and export, beloved brother. So the young brothers and sisters who are interested and serious about agriculture, let's get moving. Government must subsidize those brothers and sisters until they get on their 2 feet. Then we deal with the next brothers and sisters who are interested in agriculture. But brother, when I say agriculture, it's not just limited to growing food crops. I mean, you know, I'm a big guy, I'm almost 50 years, but brother, I must got to eat like fish, poultry, and different things. We got to deal with that too, brother. We must deal with the whole 360 when it comes to agriculture. Brother, continue to listen, keep up the great work, stay strong, beloved brother. Watch your back, and victory will be ours, brother. And by extension, yours, beloved brother. Pan-Africanism, our parish. One love, my beloved brother.
One love, my brother, as well. And thanks. I can remind us we be guided by the 2 minute, and with some discretion, you know, we're a little bit over that. But let's go back to the lines at 1 before 9. Call you live.
Yes, good evening, Iowa Packers.
Good evening, my dear.
In saying it's right, Wigging and Boone and Custom and all them need to rule the government. But look at the want us to go back to Wigging and Boone them to rule the government. That's something. And sympathy going on to consumism and the starting of tomorrow. Right? And be of good cheer and be of good courage that faith is and needs to bring together. Have a better evening. And take yourself very carefully. Okay.
Thank you very much. Oh, how could I have made such a mistake? How could I forget? And thank you, caller, for that. Remind me of my own oversight and failing to extend condolences to our Lady Constantine Mitcham, Constantine Viola Mitcham, and the passing of her mother. I have met her mother. I knew her mother very well, and yes, a strong, a stalwart in her own right, you know, cool, calm, but vigorous. So to Lady Constantine Mitcham, on behalf of the Straight Dog family and my own behalf, I extend our sincere condolences. Sometimes we can say anything. We can say sincere condolences. We can say anything to you, but the truth is that who feels it knows it, and I can't imagine how you feel, my straight dog, my dear Lady Constantine Mitcham. But just remember that death is a process. We go back to the lines at 9 o'clock. Call you live.
Okay.
So.
Good night.
Good night, my lord.
What problem are you got with this journalist for Win FM? Man, if anything, then he go back where he come from. The record, no problem here. Because why when Douglas in a treat me with in a rough way, how come he wasn't speaking about it? How come he wasn't speaking about it? Take inside. And he can't come take side so because Blatcher was around and Blatcher was really running all the canal. He doesn't know where he come from now. I'm not joke with these people coming here, come disturb people, peace, you know. No, they come up from nothing, no. I'm here agree with the rest people, and they go back where he come from, you know. They go back where he come from. I know for it, send him back from plane. We will have Martin, send him back from plane. Whoa, Rex. Can't come disturb the peace. After all, things are go good, God, he was never get nothing to all. He was had to bury. You understand? He was not go bury now. He don't see that. When the bones check and send him and he was give them. And when you know talk about all them going to throw with it. Why, you send up for me, man. Okay, all the best. Patch you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my Straight Talk family. I know we are all getting emotional here and bordering on insularity as well. But I want to remind us, though, that truth and fact is the revised Treaty of Basseterre dated back in 1981, and this agreement establishes the Eastern Caribbean Common Market And we have so advanced in terms of the freedom of movement between the OECS territories. We have one currency, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union as well. And we do have, as we said, freedom of movement amongst the OECS territories. We don't have, we don't need a passport even to travel. So we have to be careful and understand where we are in terms of our development as a union in the Eastern Caribbean. Caller, you live.
Yes, that's it. Good night, Nugget. When the boss check will go, the Prime Minister in India too. So I don't do progress, all them kind of things, all of you, all of us, and I'm sorry. So I forgot about the boss check. Yeah.
You ever believe, if you believe that divisions will forget about that bounce check, you are fooling yourself, my dear. You're sure not fooling the people of Nevis and fooling me. Caller, you live.
Mr. Ian Patches Liburd.
My dear brother, how about that?
Very good. Greetings to you.
Greetings, my brother.
Allow your platform tonight, your various topics that is facing the country. You don't back down. You face the topics head on, and that is good for our political environment, because only through education our people should get liberation. Whenever conflict arises between material and spiritual values, the conscience plays an important role. And anyone who suffers from a guilty conscience is never free from this problem until he makes peace with his conscience. Mr. Patches, I listened to the NIA press conference, and the Premier of News was responding to a question that was posed to him. And the answer included what he mentioned concerning the accord. He didn't, to me, he didn't make it as a complaint. He just answered the question with the various things that he said. And our Prime Minister, he was very diplomatic also to respond to the question as well. Because you see, journalism, you see in our country, Mr. Patches, many people don't want to take a fair stand. They prefer to have controversy. And controversy is not good to politics amongst black people. And if you say we are Christian people, at least you call out 3 words tonight: trust, loyalty, and I didn't get to quote the next one. But you quote 3 words tonight on your platform: trust, loyalty, and you have to remember with this. Unity. And you see the word unity? That's a Christ-like word. You only see the word in the Bible, unity. And is mankind have to clear the conscience to find a way to live in unity, because we are living in spiritual times. The Quran is showing us more of that. So is mankind have to find itself. You got to, that's what the Bible says. Ye got to be born again. And those words ain't a joke. Those are serious words. We have to change our ways. And for we to live in unity, we have to find always the way to live in unity. And the unity administration is going good for the people, because when you understand the struggle of the people in singing from the boxes where it come right through, you got to know the chant to the course, because you can't put your people in disarray. You got to serve your people to a democratic liberation, if it's democracy we say we're dealing with. Mr. Patrick, you continue to take care and stay strong.
Thank you very much, my straight family. Always straight and to the point, and always sit up and listen to your interventions. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
So, you know, I am so much vexed with this counted story. We as Kittian, and let me repeat, I am a Spring Quaker. We as Kittian, we enjoy too much nonsense from them overseas so-called journalists. I never forget, you know, Patches, that Dennis Linton come here already and chat about nonsense, you know.
And then Douglas them be a girl named Ebony Brandon Tawewa. And me no forget she tell Sylvia Hendrickson that when she want to call any station, call an station, no call back here. Zed, you know, what on petition, you know. She tells Sylvia Henry, no call back Zed. What on petition. Patches me not joke with this thing now. They need to put in the place whether CSME, MOC, or whatever you want to call it. When they step out of line, pull them back in line. Pull them back in line, Patches me dead serious. And Ken Richards has been doing a lot of nonsense to create havoc in St. Kitts and Nevis. He is not acquisition by boat. He came by boat. So you pronounce the word wrong between boat and boat. You pronounce them wrong. He needs to know the nonsense, Patches, and I'll take it lightly. When, Patches, if you got a highway, let me use the yard. If the yard is and stop and people keep on walking there. After a time, it don't come so much a custom, it don't come like a part. You don't have to stop it. So it needs to stop NOW no. Have a good night.
Have a good night, my dear brother. We go straight back to the lines. Let's take this call. Caller, you.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Padre. This is my second
Why
turn.
is it doubling up so fast? Yes, bro.
MB, I want to get out of here, man.
Okay.
I heard you play a song by tonight by the AG. And I think that was said in the first year after the 2015 election.
No, 2018.
Yes.
Third year.
Right. And all the 5 years coming up, I was asking myself, when is he going to do what he said he going to be done this first year? And he never been done. That first year gone. And then some time ago, I asked him if anything can be done to power George when he stopped counting the votes. Then, you know, he told me there is no law said that they can lock him up for that. Well, okay, I accept that. But then after a while, why did it lock up power George and hold the documents? That's a question to be answered. Now, I want some people to understand this. When the farmer administration, whenever they collect any money from the St. Kitts Nevis passport, Nevis was never getting their share, never mind fear. Whatever Nevis get, it was a loan, I lend you your money, so you got to pay me back. Pay me back from your money. Now, from the federal government to Nevis is a grant. That belongs to you, that is yours. When the mango tree got on a lot of mango, you're going to get plenty mango. Just be contented. When they fail to guarantee the treasury bond for Nevis people them to get paid, where was that journalist to go and ask them why they should do the Nevis people that? It is not right. Fear is fear. The people them work and they must be paid. Why you must go and bounce the check? Now I am saying this. We have to protect our country. We country is too small for anybody to say that they don't know where the ocean is. We have to protect our country, go right around, immigration-wise, and in everything that is going wrong. Nobody is supposed to come in our country and dictate for us and tell us what we should do or we shouldn't do. We ban ya. If it was Mr. Bratter like what John Paul said, all who come in here and do stupidness, they will go back. You forget Mr. Bratter deported an Anguillion from St. Kitts when he was St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla. I worked with him in St. Thomas, Dennis Richardson, he's passed, may his soul rest in peace. So Mr. Bratter would not play with anybody coming here and mess up the country. We got to protect it. And nobody gonna come between you and separate Nevis from St. Kitts. We are doing good. When we started giving Nevis what belongs to them in the first year, a regular caller on the radio station said, Timothy looking friend with Mr. Amory them by giving them these kind of $1 million what he giving to Nevis. But Nevis deserve it long time, and they will get more. But God never make the world in one day. He make it in 6, and he teach us to rest in 7. Patrick, have a good night, you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night, my dear brother. I'm listening. I understand the emotion, the emotional reaction, but isn't it a fact though that the freedom of movement is a critical component of the economic union, and we do have an economic union within the OECS. But again, getting back to what we started, it's really the Charleston Accord is working well. I'm sure we will all agree. Nobody from Nevis, I believe, will want to go back to what obtained under the Douglas regime, which included a division called Patrice Nisbet. But all I'm suggesting here tonight, all that is needed, I should say, because as I said, the Charleston Accord is working well. So all that is needed amongst our leaders in particular, and of course our people, is trust. All that is needed is unity. All that is needed is loyalty. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
I am peaceful. So yourself?
Pretty good. One of your callers mentioned about a mango tree. I just want to say concerning that, when the mango tree is full of mangoes, some people feel like they can just pick all the mangoes off one time and don't leave none for tomorrow and don't leave none for anybody else for another day. The Charleston Accord is working pretty well for Nevis. And, you know, the team unity is doing great. And team unity forever. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, my Stray Dog family. The mango tree is full. You can't pick off all. Well, the Prime Minister is famous for saying you have to save something for a rainy day. But as you just intimated, and we all agree, that the Charleston Accord is working very well. Call your live.
Yes, that is my second story. Yes, that is, you remember when the COVID came in first, and the country was closed down, that the Prime Minister come on and say, all who are affected by the copper, electricity bill and water bill, they will get a relief, I think that's 3 months. The people still complain so that when they go to the electricity and the water department look at the bill, they still say the bill is standing there for them to pay. You understand? So I don't know the problem. I mean, a shop, you say, was affected, right? When I went first to my bill after the COVID and they opened up, I said to the bill, 2 months, and pay electricity bill. But I know I didn't get affected because I was working still, because I didn't have security. You know,
well, water is different. The electricity, there's a moratorium. In other words, you don't have to pay during that 6-month period, I think it is. Water, you didn't have to pay, but your bills for electricity, beg your pardon, will accumulate. For water, that bill is forgiven. It doesn't exist. They shouldn't pay anything at all for water for that 3-month period. That is the policy of the government and the cabinet that was communicated.
They said no. Because they still paying the water bill.
Not you shouldn't. Sorry to cut you again. You shouldn't pay for April, May, or June. There should be no water bill paid for any water use or consumption.
So what about the light bill, Patrick? What about the light?
You have to pay your lights bill. Like I said, you can choose to pay, but you can't choose to pay, have it accumulated over that period. It's only a moratorium. Just that the moratorium gives you freedom not to pay for that material, but it doesn't forgive the amount you consume. That's different to the water.
Yeah, Patrick, I don't know what I really know. Patrick, I'm on the foot. No, I believe somebody, I believe the Labour Party and Candice and all those, they make a political, don't know what to call them. Because as far as they're concerned, I make you understand, he went in the courts and he submitted a summons to the returning officer who was working down there in our constituency office. I mean, in the constituency office. No, I want to say Candice, right? He only making it by himself. Because he putting people family, he putting family against family, and he putting people against him. Such as the people who went out and they vote against Candice because of what he tell the people and to Dr. Benson Douglas. So I don't know the problem. That is, I believe that, right? These guys just been putting themselves in the political ditch and they're never going to come back again because if election have to call tomorrow anytime, Candice murdered Dr. Joe, Million go in the seat, and even Dr. Douglas go in the seat. That is because the people them that really set up and you're the ignorant to the mountain. Look the proposal, look the manifesto of the president.
Okay.
And if it's COVID, you think that anything could have happened when they say they're going to give back that and give 1,500 and the island kind of money there and the situation is COVID?
Not at all. Thanks.
No, but the people know they fool them, they have to try to fool them.
Okay.
And the people to the performance of the team unity government for the first term. And they say they won't give back the team unity government a chance.
Yes.
So they will never get a chance again. So I believe that the Candice, Dr. Joe, and all of the political are done.
Okay.
You know, they're loyal to the people, and the leader is a liar, and just the people just exit them out of political arena. That is what I want to point out. God bless.
God bless you as well. We go back to the line. My dear brother, this is your third call. We only two. Please, but I'll give 30 seconds. Can you?
That is, give me a minute, please. Give me a minute.
Please, okay, go ahead.
That's just listen to this. I have been supporting the PAM party plus unity from since Melikadaya. But around the credit part, credit is due. Ken Richard and these people couldn't come here if Gratcha was alive, come farm all them fool, you know. And I will go in further. As much as I don't appreciate Dr. Denzel Douglas, they couldn't be Anna Douglas neither. And I believe that the unity government, we are too soft. And that is why people are taking advantage of us. As a small boy touches in Sandy Point, they wanted to move the road across by Brimson Hill. I think the land is owned by the Kramers or something like that. And the Kramers will give problems to for them to move the road. And Bratcher tell them he can send public works back along the tomorrow. And when he send them, you try to stop it. Go down see if the road don't move. And I got to wait up until to the patches. Have a nice night. Me gonna call back.
Have a nice night as well. Go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Hello, good evening, Patches. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Hanging in there. You see how tribal our people could become? Yeah, the guy Richard, they don't need to be going on with it, go back to this, or people to tribal. The guy, he's better than Bacchus. The guy we gotta look out for is Bacchus. He's the guy who's trying to take away our freedom of speech. Thank God for you. We have gotten our dignity back. No. Let me explain something. I got something from the labor, you know, the boiler room, the labor boiler room. You know, they put out a lot of stuff, the boiler room. And they're saying, and maybe these people don't know, they're saying, they have the whole thing out, they're saying there's a plan ahead for them to remove Harris and Grant is going to become Prime Minister. Grant going to become Deputy Prime Minister. And Grant is a hard worker, but Grant don't mess up himself in the Marriott. And John is going to be whatever. Let me tell them right now, not one of them going to mess with Dr. Harris. Without Timothy Harris, we won't be where we are today. In that extra seat in Nevis is because of Timothy Harris. He was the game changer. So let them get that in their head. Now this thing about the do they know what the SIDF means? Sugar Industry Diversification Fund. Oh, and the thing from the newspapers, the newspaper, it was on June the 19th. I think it's CNG or Global something. They say, they have nothing to use, so you know, they say hot mouth patches. They say hot mouth patches. Anyway, Sugar Industry Diversification Fund. This has to do with zinc. I'm sorry. That's what when Nevis said, it don't have nothing to do with sugar and donkey. It has nothing to do with, it didn't say zinc is Nevis type of thing. This thing has nothing to do with no zinc. It has to do with the sugar industry that was destroyed and to go to the people of St. Kitts. It's Dr. Hyde, smart guy that he is, in Washington, D.C., who started this stuff, and Mark Blanky jumped onto the bandwagon. Well, when Mark Blanky started to go up there and say Kittitians can't compete, Kittitians can't compete in Calypso, Kittitians can't compete. So what they're saying, they have nothing you, because you tell it straight up, and you're honest, and you mean the best. So the newspaper, whatever it's called, Global Warlord, was on June the 19th. I got it from the boiler room. They say hot mouth patches, because that's all they can say about you. Hot mouth patches. But SID, that money, that's why Douglas could give a loan to Nevis. That money is for St. Kitts, not to do with no St. Kitts Nevis passport. You understand? But I don't like what they're saying. Good things going on, and they're not telling people nothing. It's between Franklin and Franklin is not going to be proud. You're going to be Prime Minister of St. Kitts when you don't like Kittitian. You don't like St. Kitts. But SIDF don't have no to the St. Kitts Nevis passport. Sugar industry diversification fund. You know why don't be afraid of the Nevis, all these traitors? Nobody has spoken for St. Kitts yet. None. No. One last thing, Patrick. What's going on with Sam? You think he has lost it? He gets in the same about Enver. Poor Enver, the guy's trying to get well and trying to give the impression somebody come and pick up Enver and put him up. What's wrong with Sam? And when you see him going to apologize to the people of St. Kitts, the children especially, the kids of St. Kitts, when are they going to apologize to the people of St. Kitts? When are they going to apologize to you? Okay. It's a lot of crap going on, but let me tell them, they don't dare put a hand on Timothy Harris. Without Timothy Harris, we still be under the boot of Denzel Douglas. Now these guys talking about, what's his name, Power George. But what about the man who put the boy in the gut and destroy my life? Talk about that, and the man is still going.
Okay.
You have a molasses thing. Things gotta be straightened up. Anyhow, package.
Okay, my brother, got you.
Explain to us what SIDF means. That money is for Kittitian. They ain't fighting for the money. Okay. And Frankie can call it. He better call it. Because he bring back a lot of the St. Kitts Nevis hatred nonsense. Okay. The majority of people are not in the visions anymore in Nevis. Okay. Have a good evening, Patches.
Have a good evening as well, my dear brother. And I want to clarify, I saw something coming up on the Facebook page here, right? Of someone who has claimed that they were charged for water, a water bill. If you're charged for a water bill, it would have had to have been, I should say, a bill that for water you consumed before April of this year. Because in truth and fact, as part of the stimulus package introduced by the administration, by the Prime Minister through the Ministry of Finance, there is a waiver, or there was a waiver, I should say, of payments for the consumption of water for the period April to June 2020 for individuals who have been laid off by businesses or experienced a reduction in the earnings as a consequence of COVID-19. There's also a waiver or a moratorium, I should say, which is would implement a moratorium at Skelec and Neblek on payments for electricity services for affected businesses and individuals for a 3-month period, April to June. And for water, I said 6 months, but the 6-month period, I believe, applied to the farmers. I'm trying to find that, but the farmers in the agricultural sector, there was a 6-month waiver for farmers in terms, yes, the waiver of payments for the consumption of water by farmers for 6 months, April to September 2020. That, I hope, clarifies the issue that was raised. This email reads, "Good night, Patches. I thought the borders were closed. How did she get in?" I guess referring to that lady, that individual. I don't know if it's a lady. I heard it's a lady. I can't confirm that. Got in, I think, was someone who, as the Minister of Health said, it was a returning national. So nationals are allowed to be repatriated back home, if that's the right term. But there are conditions that have to be met, in that they have to be quarantined for, I think it's 14 days, then be tested either during the time or after that period. Patches to God, we give the glory. You are holding up so strong. It's like you know something that we don't know. The shepherd has gone to ground. Patches, tell the vagabond for number 4 there is an MO in number 1. What's this now? There is MO1 in team 1. I saw him at the service in Sandy Point, and when the Right Honorable Leader and PM said he was looking forward to handing the leadership of the country to Mr. Richards, his body language was one of disgust and over my dead body attitude. Tell him, team is not spelled T-I-E-A-M. It is spelled T-E-A-M. God bless and see you in court. Reads this email. This email reads, every time I reflect on some of the things that was said in the past by some of the Labour candidates and people like Sam Condor, I'm amazed. On a show with Dwyer, Sam went off on an angry tangent and said, Dwyer, but why he had to have the election on a Friday? We have been accustomed to have it on Mondays. I want to say to Sam, Harris is a change agent, and oh, I was well pleased with the historic transformation. Sam, you always boast that you are an Oxford graduate, and you are telling me now that you are a novice on the subject of change agents. I'm ashamed, and I'm wondering if you really went to Oxford. Read this email. Caller, you are live. Hello?
Hello, good evening, number 7.
My dear brother, the voice of the voiceless, the help of the helpless. Good evening.
Also, yes. I just wish to weigh in on your topic at hand, but before I do so, let me greet you in the presence of the ancestors in whose shoulders I stand. Remember your ancestors. I think that our people within these 2 islands of St. Kitts and Nevis, we need not to be really like losing focus on the goal ahead, because we have come a long way. And of course there are charmers that still, lingers on in, one can name even back in 1970, I think, with the Christina disaster. But we have come a long way, and we have made so many gains that it is no way we're going to compromise those gains. And so I'm more optimistic than anything else. When it comes to journalism and journalists do their work. Some are extrajudicial in terms of how they go and do their work, but journalism plays a pivotal role in as to who we are as a person, because one has to ask questions. I more so will lay the blame as to who the journalist might be posing question to, in terms of the maturity of that individual or individuals. Because there are times when we say things and it will come back, the proverbial way, they come back to haunt you. So that is where persons will get caught out there. But certain particular journalism has certain agenda also. I can recall, humble servant, you played a clip as to the former ambassador, Sam Condor. And you posed the question on your program about if he should resign by an email. You read an email. And that particular journalism took it and ran with it. But lo and behold, he was there was an intercourse with one of your callers earlier.
He was cornered.
Yes. One of your callers earlier, I know his wife, my brethren, really took it up on him because he listened to the program. And I listened to the program at the intercourse, that they had on another radio station. And I didn't call him. And I wanted, I think Clive Bacchus was the host. I wanted Mr. Bacchus to play both clips Play the one with Mr. Condor, the way he responded to, and play the one when Mr. Condor was asked in a manner as if, well, it came from you who decided, purporting that he should resign, and not from an emailer. And you always like to make the disclaimer by saying, according to the email, and that is good. So, journalism and journalists have their role to play. Some of them are extrajudicial in the way they go out, but it all depends on the maturity of the individual or they might be interviewing.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for your input. Well, the media, they said it's the fourth estate. So yes, there must be some integrity amongst the journalists as well. The other fellow was Kenny Douglas, who reads this email, who said on Freedom Radio that he just can't understand how sensible people can say 5 is more than 20. It baffles him. I want to say to Kenny, the reason why you do not understand that metaphorical figure of speech is because you are too bright and brighter than bright. But I hope by now that the licking you got from Sean has brought you to your senses, and now you've realized in political language what is meant by 5 is more than 20. Reads that email. This email reads, last Friday on Freedom Radio was Dr. Martin, Sam Condor and Junior Liburd speaking about the operations of Social Security. Their rhetoric seemingly was calculated to instill fear in the minds of the contributors with their false impression that Social Security in the future would not be able to pay pensioners. Sam boasted that he was the longest-serving minister of the institution, but failed to say what significant tangible achievement he brought to the department. Nothing whatsoever. And while he was accusing the government of assisting the needy with Social Security funds, he said nothing about the millions of dollars he and Douglas caused Social Security to lose by a haircut to their incompetence.
Where's it written on the passport? They say Christopher Nevis.
That is correct.
So what is all the fuss about? You know what I noticed since we got all these seats? This gentleman brought up this thing about this with Nevis and St. Kitts. He's just mad because they have no seats in the general, in the how do you call it?
Parliament.
In the Parliament, yes. That is the problem with him. They have one seat in Nevis. Let him make do with that. And instead of complaining, all of a sudden, where he come from? He was there all the time. He used to make noise and then he stopped. And he start again. We are one. And we're going to remain one until whatever is to happen, happen. And always putting Mr. Brantley in things. Huh? Let us stop with the fake news. But Brantley can go with them. Anyhow, you have a good evening, Patches.
Have a good evening as well, my dear. And someone sent me a message and said I said Constantine Mitchum. If I did, I do apologize. If I did, I intended to say Lady Constance Mitchum, whose mother has passed away. And again, I convey my condolences. At 9:36, we go back to the lines. Call your live.
5 is greater than 20. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
How are you tonight?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Not bad at all. Mr. Liburd, I would want to know, how come that when someone is in government and they've done something wrong here in St. Kitts that have to do with money, and they've used the people of this nation money without permission, how come they don't get in no problem? How come they don't go to the court? How come the Attorney General don't take them to the court and investigate the case and probably hold them accountable for the funds that they have taken from the Treasury? And the reason why I say that,
I'm sorry.
There's been yes, sir, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Well.
Yeah. There's been allegations about money that was used and sent to one uncle, one nephew, and one sister on the PEP program by Mr. Hamby, who was in charge of the PEP program. And these allegations, papers were read on air, and it's always been, the case has been investigated. Investigation is going on. I think I have a problem with that. Somebody is not doing the job in the Attorney General office, or someone in authority is not doing their job really like how they're supposed to do it. And I'm going to say this, and I think it's probably because, one, who were involved in the Labour government, who was on the board at the time of this situation took place, the money has been transferred and to these folks. That was the allegation that was made, and because of that person in position now, in position in government, it appears as though this case, this investigation will not come to life. And it's really crazy because it's been at least 2 years now. Since you have been in government, you've been talking about it, we've been talking about it, and up until this time, we can't get no result. No papers can be passed, so at least the district attorney or the attorney general or the prosecutor is not able to look at those papers and be able to see where he can go with that case. Okay. And something has to be done, because if you can recall, there was a case that the Attorney General handled, which I think was a young lady from Connery that had something to do with some small amount of money up at the hospital. And that case went forward as quick as possible. And I think that person was prosecuted or something like that. What happened to this big case? What happened to all this money, which is close to over $2 million from the Treasury, that was said that it went to this family, you know? Okay. Of course, these are allegations because I don't have the facts with me. But because of the fact that you read out these papers on the air at one time, it shows that something took place. What's going to happen to that? What's going to happen to it? Why we cannot prosecute people?
Okay, I got you, brother. I got you loud and clear. You asked that question. And you're an investigative reporter. I'm sure you can do some more investigations.
To hear what? That has been investigated?
Well, I don't think you should surrender. I mean, as I just said, as the fourth estate, you represent the people. But
that's all we've been hearing.
Okay, but I got your point. I gave you double time, and I did it out of an abundance of respect for you, my dear brother.
Well, you know I'm not going to call back. So.
Thanks a lot for your input tonight. But we'll hear.
Maybe you can give us some information on that. How about that?
Okay, my brother. We look forward to that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your input. In the event you've just joined us, my Straight Dog family, our time is really running out. And we reminded you, first of all, of the news that broke on Sunday, or should I say on Saturday last, about that new or additional case of COVID here in St. Kitts.
Saturday, July 4th, 2020, St. Kitts and Nevis recorded one additional case of COVID-19. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 16. The patient is a returning national who landed on June 19, 2020 from Washington, D.C., USA. The patient has been in quarantine since arrival.
We also reminded you that come this Wednesday, in keeping with the proclamation issued by His Excellency the Governor General, so Samuel Wimouth Tapley Seaton, that the National Assembly, the proclamation really summons the opening of the National Assembly on Wednesday, July 8th, that's Wednesday coming at 10 a.m. at the St. Kitts Marriott in Frigate Bay, St. Kitts. And recall that elections were held on Friday, 15th June. But having read the proclamation, I could not help but reflect upon several facts. In fact, I spoke about the first time ever we had 3 political parties that came together on one political platform, and hope sprang alive. And I also reminded us as well that we can't forget the prayer of the people, which meant so much and made such a difference, my Straight Talk family.
While folks were running all over the place, I was praying and asking God to deliver this nation and bring it back to a place of peace. You're not a minister, I am. I have seen mothers in this country cried over the loss of their sons across the length and breadth of this country. They were murdered foolishly. And it was because of a political system that we had. And to my mind, a political system that did not mind God. Amen? And I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. God did not deliver for a long time. But in 2015, he said, son, I'm going to answer your prayer. I'm going to stop those planes in New York. And I'm going to deliver this country that you have prayed for so many years.
Yes, God answers prayer. And in the second term, as the people in no uncertain terms dictated through the ballot and through an increased majority in Parliament, we anticipate that there would be constitutional reform. Term limits, no doubt, would be enshrined in our Constitution, even though our current leaders have already made their own declarations as it relates to the intentions in terms of transition of leadership. And for those who had ears to hear, they must have heard this from Prime Minister Harris.
God continue to bless this country that I love with all my heart. And I do believe for such a time like this one, God has favored me to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as the 3rd Prime Minister. And I promise I will do all that I can to serve you to the best of my God-given abilities for such a time like this. And I have said that I am committed to 2 terms in the office of the Prime Minister. 2 terms. And I will be very ready to support the Honorable Sean Richards, the leader of the People's Action Movement, when that time has come, and to bring all of my experience, all of my knowledge, to give him the strongest support so that he can continue to deliver the stronger and safer future.
Yes, and for those who had ears to hear as well, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister Sean Kenneth Richards indicated that he is ready in terms of his goal.
One more political goal to deliver on. One more political goal to deliver on. And that is to be not the next Prime Minister, but the first Prime Minister that Sanderpoint has produced.
Well, and we also address the Charleston Accord, which in the view of all of us is working well. And we believe that the people of Nevis, nobody from Nevis, as a matter of fact, will want to go back to what obtained under the Douglas regime before Team Unity was voted into office. We believe that the Charleston Accord is working well, and all that is needed amongst our people, and more so our leaders, is trust, unity, and most of all, loyalty. At 12 before 10, as we wind down, we go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, dear.
Good night, my dear. You have your...
Let me turn... Yeah, go
yes,
turn it
please.
down
I want the whole world to hear you.
Okay. The Nevis Accord, I think it's going fine. All it is that I don't think what Mark Brantley is really worried, because Mark Brantley knows how it's going right now. And he already said he spoke to the Prime Minister. So why it is that this journalist worrying over he said about it? I don't see why he's worrying over he said about it. And let me ask you a question. You all have more students up here in the States?
As I know, I believe so. I stand to be corrected.
Okay, because it was said today that all the students, if the college not going to be open back up, they cannot stay up here and they will have to go back. Otherwise, they will be deported out. So I'm just letting you know that the Prime Minister have another case on his hand, because he will have to send for them. But anyway, God is good, and it is because we have another breakout again up here with coronavirus. So I pray for all the children then that they can get back safely, because if the college them not opening up, they will have to depart. So I pray for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, have a good night.
Good night as well.
And enjoy yourself. Keep on the lookout. Be safe going home.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, my dear.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Your intervention. We go straight back to the lines at 10 to 10. Hello, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, my dear.
How are you, Mr. Patches?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Blessed love, I'm fine, thank you. Okay, I'm calling in pertaining to the Nevis Accord, right? I listen most of the callers always sending late, and I know people bashing the reporter, right? You can hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Mr. Richard, that from what is going on after election, I'm very fear. I mean, it's a lot of them say, but I hope it's not. We're saying it's Douglas probably paying the reporter. What if it is Mr. Brantley himself, because he seems to be a little whatever. What if it's him, you know?
It's him doing what?
People can't get behind people to stir confusion.
What if it's him doing what? I didn't get that one.
Like giving the reporter things to say.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I mean?
I understand, yes.
Yeah, because people could be very mischievous. And when we're thinking is this person, the person, instead of they hiding behind, you know? And they're doing the thing to get out, because after election, a lot of rumors was going around that he had met with Douglas and all kind of things. So, you know, we have to look at things in different perspectives. You have a good night and get home safe, and may God bless and keep you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting perspective. I just raised the caller. What if it's someone else? Boy, McMahon, you are a real puppy show. But the good thing is you will continue to criticize the Prime Minister and Team Unity, because nothing like you can stop the government from progressing, reads this email. The first press conference was remarkable. The election is over with a massive win for Team Unity, and that is what hurts you. You are a sore loser. You campaign hard for Labour to win without success. So we all understand your hatred and bitterness. Your campaign slogan of continuous changing governments until you get the right one was such a stupid suggestion that it did not find favour with the electorate. And you still have the effrontery and never to come on the radio to cast aspersions and criticize Dr. Harris and his government. 5 more years, let it eat you out, reads this email. Good night, Patches. I think people are wasting too much time talking about Ken Richards. He is not a real news reporter, but rather a harmless gentleman who goes around telling stories. The important issue right now is that Nevisians are much happier with the current arrangement, and we have leaders in place who are trustworthy and will reasonably make the right choices. And Patches tell that Nevis hater who keeps rambling on and on about Nevis should not get anything, that those days are long gone. It is unity now, and right now the country does not need divisive people like him. He needs to talk less. Read this email. This other email reads, Patches, maybe you don't know this, but inside source of the Skin New Gen Labour Party have said that particular journalist was promised the post of public relations officer to Douglas as Prime Minister if Labour had won, reads this other email. And this other email reads, Patches, I understand that there was much confusion down Karambola at a Labour executive meeting. It was said, Dougie said in no uncertain terms he was going to step down, and swear words were used in the exchange. Beg your pardon. Is this the Dougie Asafan wanted us to believe was going to step down? He don't want to do it when he's out of power. How on earth do you expect him to do so when he is in power? Read this email. As we wind down tonight's programming and take a few more calls, caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good night, Mr. Patches, Liburd. How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I am too. Getting some fresh breeze up in the mountain top and feeling so good. Yes, what I'm calling to find out how this water thing go, because I think it should have been writing. When I heard about it first, I went there, and when they say nothing, they must go up to the Labour Department area, but I did just come from up there the day. The sun had me blown, so I didn't go back up there. I went and paid the bill. Then when you look, I get another bill again the other day, and when I asked, they say only for the people who do in the ground, who have ground, and so I don't want to say some water issue tonight. And I want to know when the terminal going to finish, because they're busting down my canvas every time I put it up. The people are catching the bus, busting down my canvas and there by my shed. So I want to know when the terminal finish, if you're going to go down there and you look all by the bars and give them some your canvas hang over. Are we going to get that? Because I want up there by the public works to look well nice, so is that going to happen? I would like to know that, that I could feel happy about it. And when they told me, oh my God, 7 months now? Oh, I don't even want to the rest, because people are going to vex. I got.
Thank you very much, my dear. I'm sorry about that. I thought you were finished. Again, the waiver of payments for consumption of water as per the stimulus package for the period of April to June 2020 for individuals who have been laid off by businesses or experience a reduction in earnings as a consequence of COVID-19. In terms of farmers, I did mention the farmers. I recall the waiver of payments for the consumption of water by farmers for 6 months, April to September 2020. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hi, good night, my esteemed representative.
How about thou, my dear?
I'm great, and how are you doing?
I am peaceful.
Okay, good night to those out there in Radio Land under the sound of my voice. Now, Mr. Liburd, yesterday the St. Kitts Nevis losing Labour Party, right? They had a church service at St. Peter's Anglican Church, right? And the deputy chairman for the party, he opened the church service by saying, comrades, now tell me, what do you think that was the appropriate wording for a church setting?
Who's this deputy chairman?
Mr. Joe. Before he said church or congregation, he said, comrades, now tell me, that wasn't like a public meeting, that's a church,
Okay.
And they ain't talking about that, but the other day when Team Unity had the inauguration ceremony, and Mr. Hilton for Zion Moravian Church had his piece to say, it was a big thing. That's what I don't understand with them Labour people. It's okay for them to do and say, but when other people do and say, they got a big problem with it. And that church, that same St. Peter's Anglican Church down there is very political too. Because even the pastor for the church, I'm not calling his name, I could recall back in 2010, that same pastor there was transporting people from St. Peter's down the girls' school to vote in Central. I just wonder if them kind of people there will see God's face. And don't talk about the one for the down half of the church of God, oh God send he, and the money while one over Cairn. If I go anywhere and I see them there preaching or stepping outside, I'm sorry. Because they are not good examples. You have a good night. And there's 5 more years so they could talk till I can't talk no more. They have to wait till 2025. Have a good night, safe journey home.
Have a good night, my warrior from the east. Patches, Dwyer always saying that the government has been raping Social Security for the longest while, and it needs to stop. What is the difference between the government raping Social Security and you raping Miss Gwenny's money and property? You see, Dwyer, if they are raping Social Security, it is for the good of all of us. But on the other hand, when you do your raping, it is for you alone. With all the mouth you had on radio every week, using the Prime Minister and Patches, I know one day your sins will be found out, or will find you out. Oh, how shameful and embarrassing you must be. Read this email. Caller, you're live.
Hey, Patches.
So.
Yeah, you should have given us 3 minutes to talk, not 2 minutes. But anyhow, you say it's at your discretion too. Now, is there any way you could be in there, senator, working as a senator in cabinet? Because he must do the whole country gone dead. I swear to you, I'm ready to leave. He must do everything just gone dead. Now, let me tell these people, they keep talking about leave 113 in there for Nevis, 113 in there. You leave 11, let me explain to you. When you go to secession, when you don't, you just go. You're going to be landlocked. You're going to be landlocked. You can't come off the beach. Think you can own all that water around you. No. Bradley is coming for his money to get the taxes. So no taxes is paid in Sinkits. Okay? He's coming for that. He's into money. And like I told you, this lady who just called from New York, wanting you all to bring citizens. Soon these people don't want you all. You go to the bathroom for them. Our people have become helpless. You're all making them helpless and lazy. Douglas started it, and I mean, you guys did it for the election, but we cannot keep doing this. We have to make our people independent again. That's the way we work. Independent people, proud of ourselves. You're giving us back our dignity, allowing us to speak freedom of speech that a man from Guyana is taken away from us. He can't substantiate. Oh, you mean? And that boy, that is right. When is the Attorney General going to put the Canatis from the building board in jail? What's going on? Anyhow, there's, like I said, FIDF. That's why Douglas was loaning the money to Nevis. That money is Sinkis money, not Sinkis Nevis passport money. Okay? And this thing with Nevis Accord, it's not good. It's illegal. Have a good evening, Patches.
Have a good evening as well, my dear brother. Always so assertive, and it's come back again with the 113 clause, and I didn't really outline that the last time it was brought up, but the 113 clause in the Constitution speaks to the separation of Nevis from St. Kitts or St. Christopher, and it reads, the Nevis Island legislature may provide that the island of Nevis shall cease to be federated with the island of St. Christopher, and accordingly that this constitution shall no longer have effect on or in the island of Nevis. But I think we have passed that stage, as we said that the Charlestown Accord, which is a declaration of intent, there are several commitments within that accord. I think there were some 17 or 18 commitments in that particular declaration. And it spoke well to several things, which we perhaps should go into some other time. And the agreement, as it speaks to, it says, Nevis shall receive its fair and equitable share of natural resources based on the pro rata population basis to ensure that Nevisians too will benefit fairly from the returns of national investments. And I believe, I recall indicating through the current tenure that progress has been made on Nevis.
The Charleston Accord sought to ensure that the talents that were available in Nevis were unleashed for public, for development, national development as well. We have made good progress, for example, in the areas of foreign affairs, the fact that Nevisians are now participating in diplomacy, a role that they had been hitherto denied. Nevisians, since 2015, and for the first time in the history of the country, are ambassadors and working in the diplomatic corps at home and abroad. So that has been one thing that we have seen in terms of tangible difference. Nevisians represented now on all national boards. That is also a tangible difference.
Yes, and there's a tangible difference. Even, not just ambassadors, we do even have a Minister of Foreign Affairs who is Nevisian. Caller, you're live.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening there.
Heard that Lady Bernice, right? And now she's listening. Whenever the terminal finish, it finish. We're not going to hurry it, so when it finish and something happen, she'll be the first to call on the radio. However, whenever it's finished, it's finished. Nobody going to hurry us. We are take with time to do things properly.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. When it's finished, it's finished. Call you live.
So. I see something with me bill with the water, but me have no problem because I go pay the video and me don't want nothing free because if I get something free, I go look for it all the time. So, me have no problem with paying it. Me don't plan food. So, me just show that little water in my yard, wash my skin in the house and that's it, right? I don't do agriculture. I buy food on the market every Saturday. So me have no problem with that. If you want set of people, because of agriculture, because I want food, me have no problem with that.
Okay.
Me don't pay my bill, right?
Got you, my brother.
Because you got to pay. Right. Because not come in and my money when me pay could help pay somebody else. So you're patching?
Got you,
so
my
me have no problem with that, right?
Got you, my brother. What you can do for your country and not what your country can do for you. Caller, you live. Hello, caller?
Yes, Patrick, good night. Well, I was in the States for the longest while.
You got your radio on? You got the radio in the background?
Yes, yeah. I finally get to hit the ball. Now, when we come to Mark Brantley and Funds and Son coming to Nevis, now, a lot of people never knew that the federal government used to pay the nurses, the police, the prisoner officers, and all them over in Nevis. But here's come, when they collect any taxes up there, they keep it. And then I used to send it down here. But I'm glad it worked out that they could get the fair share of everything. And still, I don't really so pleased about this arguing amongst ourselves concerning the division part. So I hope we come to some agreement so we could done with that talk. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Just to correct you, though, the federal government only paid for security, not the nurses, really, the security and foreign affairs as it relates to Nevis and the NIA. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night. It's me again. I hope that man understands I am talking about St. Kitts Nevis citizens, you know. When I said that the children them has to get out because if they don't have college. So I hope he ain't thinking I telling the Prime Minister to go bring down people there for what? It's St. Kitts Nevis citizens I'm speaking about. Okay?
Okay.
Remember the college children I told you about?
Yes. But that will be at a really prohibitive cost, though, to the government. Yeah? But
I know
do you understand?
It's to the government, but I'm just talking about St. Kitts Nevis because it's rather for them to get out than for them to throw them out. You understand?
Yeah, your point is taken, my dear. Thanks for your input. We go back to the lines. Caller, we'll take a few more calls. I'm going to go.
We get cut off.
Yes,
Sorry about that. Yes. So what I was saying, that I don't like the idea of bringing up this one tree or one that what it is. We are living together in unity and we are operating in unity. And it's time enough that we start to block them kind of talk, you know. So the country can move on and stand firm behind the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis
and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and all the residents who live in here. Because this is a good place. I remember the days when we were going other places as a young boy and son. And now today, we're getting more people than what we ever had in St. Kitts and the coming thing, because they realize that St. Kitts is the best country in the world and the best in the Caribbean. So they're looking for help just like how we're going abroad and looking for help. Why when a man come here, where he behave himself and he's working, a woman come here and behave herself and working, I don't see no problem with that. I'm not going to say throw them out for no reason at all, because life is hard with a lot of people. And Patches, you know it. So God bless Team Unity and you and your government, that we could live a better life and their son. And forget about Dougie and them race stock. You understand me? Don't study Dougie and them. Okay. They're gone. Okay, good night.
Thank you very much. I think that's the way we're going to end tonight, because I'm gone too. Because my time is done and I've got to run. My Straight Talk family, in summarizing tonight, we all have agreed that the Charlestown Accord is working well. Some people have agreed that there ought to be electoral and constitutional reform. Someone suggested 2 terms for the Prime Minister and a set date for elections. And also went to the extent to suggest that we should have a republic with an executive president in the upper house and a lower house. Someone suggested agricultural reform for food security, self-sufficiency, and for exportation or for exporting to outside markets. But my Straight Talk family, I think we have all agreed. Yes, the lines are going, but my time is done, my Straight Talk family. I think we have all agreed that the Charlestown Accord is working well. It is working well. And we looked at the background too at the Charlestown Accord. It came because of a particular type of treatment that was dished out to the people of Nevis by the Douglas Labour administration, or I should even say the Douglas Labour NRP administration, because in that cabinet there was a division from Nevis 11, I think it was Patrice Nisbet, who sat in that cabinet and allowed Denzel Douglas to bounce the check of the Nevisian civil servants. And that's something that Nevisians will never forget. Nevisians, nobody from Nevis, I submit, will ever want to go back to that, go back to Denzel Douglas and his bad treatment. The only thing they got from St. Kitts was a $6 million loan for the NEPAC Center, I think it was. We heard what Nevisians are getting now. But all we need, all that is needed amongst our people and our leaders is trust, continuing unity, and most of all, loyalty. My Straight Talk family, I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank you, the many callers, those of you who joined us on social media, YouTube, Facebook, and other media. I say thank you. And for those of you who just listened, remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's will, if it's the will of God, we will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until we connect, have yourself the best of what's left of tonight. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. Remember, faith breeds success and fear breeds failure. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Until we connect on Thursday, bye-bye. And have yourself a good night.